everyone. I want to welcome you to the Houzz Pro Designer Academy Day 3, Mastering Procurement and Staying Profitable. My name is Elizabeth. I'm on the product marketing team here at Houzz, and I have our lovely colleague, Louisa. If you want to introduce yourself real quick.
Yeah, I am a strategic growth manager here focused on software, but I have been in the product team. I've been at Houzz for many years, and through my time here at Houzz, I've been a product support specialist. I've also been an onboarding specialist, a client success manager, and now I'm a strategic growth manager. My focus is software, and I'm in California as well, but in Orange County. So I'm excited. I've also done a lot of virtual trainings, in-person trainings as well. So whenever you guys get those emails inviting you, feel free to join us in person. We love to meet you guys and to, show you how to use the software in person too. The first thing that I'm going to go over, I just kind of want to give everyone a little bit of an agenda to what we're going to be covering today. I'm going to go ahead and share with you how to create and manage purchase orders to keep yourselves organized and professional, presenting yourselves professionally to clients and also your colleagues and vendors. Will also be reviewing the selection tracker. I know you guys recently went over the selection board. The next phase or the second part of the selection board is our selection tracker. You usually find them under the same screen, just a little different tab at the very top. So we'll be reviewing that. That way you can always have one single source of truth for your statuses, vendor details, markup details, and delivery details. Then we'll move over into managing and setting up a project budget through our budget tool. That way you can always stay on top of the financial reports and tax management and just making sure that your business stays healthy with the profitability of each of your projects. Second to last, we'll go over the internal collaboration feature through the team chat and setting up team member permissions on your account. And then we'll go over the Google Drive integration just to make things a little bit smoother for yourself and your team. You'll be able to, see things and load things up from Google Drive into Houzz since we have that integration. So I will be sharing my screen. I'm going to go into a project. That way you can see me begin to create a purchase order. You can create a purchase order from an estimate. Usually it's a term that we hear from our contractors, but also you can create a proposal from a purchase order from a proposal. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a proposal here on the left. And then I'm going to go ahead and just click on this draft proposal. This proposal here is going to allow me to just move on the top here where it says actions, and then I can create purchase order. Can you guys drop in the chat if you guys are following along with my pathway, or because I want to make sure I go slow enough to allow everyone to kind of keep along with me. Or is it okay for me to continue going?
I think you're good to go. We can see your navigation.
Okay, good. So I'm going to go ahead and click where it says create purchase order. I just want you to see this. If I go to the very top where it says actions, I can click on create purchase order and all of the items are listed here for me to attach to a vendor. However, there is another way for you to create a purchase order based on vendor. Some of our professionals have a preference on how they create the purchase order. Some of them, let's say that you're wanting to send a purchase order to only one vendor at a time, or create that purchase order for the one vendor. So I'm just going to select the items on this proposal that I want to create a purchase order for. I'm going to go back up to actions and then say create purchase order. I can go ahead and select any of the purchase or any of the vendors that are here right now. And I'm going to click on the first dibs. I can go ahead and create a purchase order for multiple vendors as well. And when you create multiple purchase orders for different vendors, it'll actually take you to the purchase order list instead of a one purchase order view. So here in this case, I'm just going to click on the same vendor, I'm going to click where it says create purchase order. And as you see, it took me to one purchase order. Let's say that I want to go back to my proposal and I want to create a purchase order for all of the vendors all at once. So I'm going to go ahead and click on multiple items, right? Then I'm going to say create purchase order. And let's say that I want to create a purchase order for First Dibs, Anthropologie, Arel, and then Benjamin Moore. Now, when I click on create purchase order, it's actually going to take me to the purchase order list. So I'll be able to see here all of the purchase orders based on vendor. So in this case, this purchase order, which was the first one that I created today, has all of the details. Now, I can go ahead and click on this pencil right up top here to make changes to the document info, to the company info. That way I can customize it. Also the vendor information. I can add more details, less details. I can expand some of these boxes, minimize them just for better ease of view. There's default settings. For example, if you want to pay upfront, 30%, depending on the terms that you have with that vendor, you can establish that here on this document. If they charge tax, you can turn that on. If there's an account number that you want to be billed on directly, you can do that. And also any contracts that you have with the vendor or agreements or any documents that you have, you can include them here as well. And then ship to information, you can add the details of where you want these items to be shipped to. If it's your storage unit, your retail store, or maybe the client's home, you can make those changes here. I'm going to go ahead and just exit out of here. On the very top, as we get a little lower, you can also begin to see that you can establish the payment terms directly from the page. You can also establish the bill date, the date that you want that this was created, and then also the due date, right? Let's say that you want this to be sent to you the items to be sent to you by Friday, the 7th of November. You can always establish that and allow your vendor to see that. If you want to go ahead and make changes to any of these items, let's say you want to add a SKU number, or if you want to add more details like colors, dimensions, if you didn't already have it included in that item, you can add those details here. Also, you can customize these columns by clicking on the customize button here. And then you can go ahead and turn on or turn off which columns you want. Let's say that we want the room, and then we're going to go ahead and save. Now the columns will also include the room, the color, the cost here. Now, let's say that you want to change the status for one of these items. Let's say that the vendor already received the order and they realize that they don't have this outdoor service, material, that it's actually back ordered. So you're going to have the freedom to come into your purchase order, update that there directly, by line item if you'd want to, or you can always go ahead and click where it says in progress, and then you can always say delivered or en route, the status that it's at the time. But let's say that you want to go back and just make an edit because something is still back ordered. You can still go back in there and edit that. Again, pricing will be adjusted based on the pricing that you have here per line item. I'm just going to say that something costs $12 just for the sake of dollars to be seen, so that I can show you how to establish a pay schedule. So let's say that the first payment is for 30%, but now you also want the second and third payment to be adjusted. Our system will automatically adjust it based on your initial payment. But if you want to set up a custom payment, you can do that as well. If this custom payment is to be $300, our system will automatically update the rest accordingly. And you can establish different due dates, and it'll update accordingly. You can log manual payments, but you can also log, payments that you've received through check or cash, Venmo, those options there. You can also establish a default. let's say that you want this vendor on this purchase order to be on this pay schedule. That'll be a default that you get to choose in the future. And just like every other one of our documents, you can move around these icons or these boxes to make things a little easier for you and how you prefer. And then you can add the terms and conditions as well as a signature if you wanted to see that. Once a purchase order has been viewed or acted upon, you will receive a notification and there will be activity stream information down below as well. So at this point, once you're ready to send, you can go ahead and preview it if you'd like, establish the type of settings that you want that vendor to see. And then you can always just click on send from the preview page, but also you can do it from the page where you're working on it. You can go ahead and send it to the representative that you have or your point of contact. You can customize the purchase order information, but you can also establish company defaults onto your purchase order. And then click on send or copy this to text it to them or send it. Sometimes our pros prefer to send a link or send a PDF to the vendor, depending on preference. Does anyone have questions here?
I answered a few questions in the chat, but
Okay.
I think you should be just a question around creating purchase orders from the original proposal.
Yeah. So if you have, so far I've just worked on how to create a purchase order from the original proposal, right? So as of right now here, this is the proposal that I created a purchase order from. And
Yep.
the items are like the purchase orders are linked to this proposal.
Beautiful.
However, there is another way for you to create a purchase order. You can actually create a purchase order from the project view itself. Let me go back to the project overview. Let's say that I want to go ahead and create a purchase order for this project. I can just go ahead and click where it says purchase order, and then I would click on create new purchase order. I can create a purchase order for a vendor or for a subcontractor. The way I've seen this be used is kind of like a work order sometimes. Or when our designers send out the purchase order to a sub, it's kind of that's when I see my designers printing it out because they want the sub to know what to do, where to deliver, things like that. If it's something that they're having them, manage. But usually when it's being sent to a vendor, you can just go to the project, click on purchase order. On the top right, click where it says new purchase order, and then select which vendor you want to send this to. At this point, I'm going to send it to the Bay Area Design and click on create. And the flow is exactly the same like I mentioned earlier. There are a couple of tools on the right side of this page where you can add items. Let's say that the items are not on this purchase order because you are creating this purchase order from scratch. I'm going to go ahead and say that I want to click on this KitchenAid, the lamp, and then a chandelier. Those items are currently in my library, but then I also have products that are associated to this project specifically. So let's say I also want to create, I also want to add this other chandelier from this project into this proposal and into this purchase order. I just have to click on the plus sign. If there's any additional, items that I need from our brand catalogs, I can include that there as well. If I want to look at any templates, I can include those as well. Any recent proposals, they're there for me to see, and I can add the items from the recent proposals onto this purchase order if I wanted to work that way. I find this to be a little bit more time consuming when we already have a proposal. When we already have a proposal, it's just faster if you go from the proposal to purchase order. But many times, things happen and you need to create a purchase order from scratch. So you can do that as well from the overview page of the project. Is everything clear up to here so far?
Yes, we just have one question about linking a PO to the proposal after creating the PO, so retroactively adding the PO to the proposal. I do
question before. I believe I'm going to have to circle back to you. I want to say yes by going to my items, right? Like, I mean, when we go to recent proposals, if we go to recent proposals and we click on it, I can essentially click on the items from the proposal. But I think the question that you're asking is, can I link the document so that it doesn't show up as a duplicate? I'd have to circle back to you on that. Is this from? I think I'm gonna grab your name, okay, just so I can circle back.
I can collect that for you too.
Okay, thank you. PO attached to PR after creating PR. Okay, I'll get back to you about it. Okay. Now, the next thing that I'm going to go into from, kind of looking at these purchase orders is going into the selection tracker. Of course, once you send a purchase order, now you need to find out where are those things, right? Like from the selection board, where are these items? Where can I find out what's going on with them? And usually you can go about it by clicking on the selection tracker. You can go from the project into selection tracker, but I've seen a lot of my pros navigate to the selection board and then to the selection tracker. So it's really up to how you'd like to do it. I'm just going here so that I can show you kind of what it looks like. So if you were working on a selection board and let's say now you're ready to see the selection tracker, you would just click on the icon at the top. And so this is what a selection tracker will look like. If you have associated a purchase order to this proposal, then the purchase order will be listed right there under that item or right next to that item. This is all for you and your team to see, right? You get to export this if you'd like. You'd get to add details to all of this based on markup, any fees that you need to add, you can add them here. Unit type, you can add it here as well. And then shipping financials will all be listed here. Now, in this tracker, you can also quickly update on what the status of this item is, right? So let's say that you don't know what's going on with this chandelier, no one in your team, or it just hasn't been updated, and you want to just check on it. You can go ahead and call and then update it manually. You can also edit these columns. Some of my professionals prefer to have certain columns up front for quick ease of view. So you can always just grab this column and then move it over. I'm trying to get it over there for you to see. So you can actually move it if my little hand allows me to. You can actually move it over as you need to, so that you can always keep track of the item quickly, right? It's just easier to see that way. You can also customize how this looks, what you get to see, how many columns show up. You get to customize that as well. And you can also establish a new field if you would like to do that. And then you can do either a flat view, which looks like this, and then a stacked view. So the items just get stacked. You can establish a order date. So let's say that it's ordered and you ordered it today. Today's the 30th, and it's supposed to arrive on the 6th. You can add those details there. If an item is missing image and you now have the image, you can establish or add it here so that you can upload the image and have an image associated to that item. Again, all of these little stacked icons with the six, you can move up, or with the 6 dots, you can move up or down. Let's say that this selection tracker item, you want to go ahead and make some edits or some changes to it. You can click on edit and it'll allow you to edit this way as well. Sometimes our pros want to bulk edit. So this is a way to bulk edit that. it'll apply the change there. Now, let's say that you want to create a view specifically for you. There are things that you only want to have available to you and not to your team. You can create like a kind of like pinning your view. You can make this your view, and then you can name it my view. Other pros name it something else like Liza's, Luisa's view, etc. If it's a company view, you want to establish changes here. You can also do that and create company view, and then export that, download it as a FF&E schedule or a tear sheet. And then you can also filter by either searching, item status, state, room, any of the items that are here based on the columns that you have, any filters that you'd like to filter by, and then any placeholders or any items here that you want to look into a little bit deeper. You can also filter by. As you can see, these items are associated with the purchase order and with the proposal. The proposal has not been invoiced, so that's why there isn't a invoice associated to the item itself. Although this item has been approved while on the proposal from the client, it's just not invoiced yet. Are we good up to here? Okay. I see a question. Okay, is there a way to add additional colors to the status selections? Let me see. I think that's feedback we've received, but let me see if it's something that we can. So these are the color options we have currently. You can add a status title, but not a color. We don't have like a color wheel on this one yet, but it is feedback I can take back. So let me actually add that to my notes. Add color.
I do believe you can add a color, Louisa, on there. Select a color.
Yeah, but she's saying more of a customized color.
Oh, sorry. Custom colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Color options or customized color options in the.
Annie, can you clarify if you're talking about a custom color or? Oh, yes, you are. Sorry about that, Louisa. I misunderstood the question.
That's okay. Okay, so this is pretty much how simple it is to use a tracker. Although it is a very big tool to have, it is very user friendly. And personally, like I'm not a designer, but if I was a designer and when I've met with designers, like I can see why this is so important. So I actually get really excited about this part of the tool because I'm a type A brain and order and routine make my life just feel very good. So this is a tool that I would recommend everyone to learn to master because it is something that's very useful and helpful when you're talking to your subs, when you're talking to your colleagues, when you're talking to your vendors, when you're talking to your team. This is really the source of truth for you. So we also have like a procurement filter for you to look at, a financials filter, and then this would be like your view based on what you've established. So, those create view options are these up here that you see. And then you can go ahead and see like the all view as well. Okay, so I think we're good with questions here. Yes. Perfect.
We just have one or two from the chat.
Okay.
Is there a way to filter by items that have a PO but have not been invoiced yet?
I believe so. So when you go to organize, you said that have a PO but have not been, say that one more.
Oh, is there a way to filter by items that have a PO but have not been invoiced yet?
Okay, so here's a PO. You would go like that, and then you would have a PO here. If you also want to include invoice under the document status, you would click on invoice. But here, for example, let's say I only want to show up the items that have a purchase order and are associated to a proposal. They would live here under that filter option.
Awesome. And then we have one more. With the column EG, I think they meant selections tracker, is that a one-time per proposal, or is there a way to change the columns as default so that they show each time?
Yeah. So actually that is exactly what it is. So when you edit, let's say that you're working on this project and you want your selection tracker to always come up like item, document status, description. And you want it to show up this way all the time. This is actually how you're telling the system that you want it to show up for a new project tracker that you work on. It won't revert back, and if it does, you just have to let us know. We'll get it looked at. You shouldn't have to establish your column preferences every time for each project.
Perfect. I think that's it. We can move on.
Now I think I see someone. I closed out Mensa. Okay, is there a way to filter by items to have a PO? Okay, yeah. All right, perfect. So now the next step is for us to take a look at another really cool tool, which is our budget tool. So we want to make sure that all of you have a healthy business, right? And where that all starts is by establishing a budget for your project. I'm actually going to go again back to the overview of this project, and I'm going to click on budget. When you have a budget that you want to stay within, if it's something that's really important for your client, or of course, like everyone, right? It is important to stay within budget. We not only want to have you use this tool to protect your client, we also want to make sure that you're using this tool to add any additional expenses that were unforeseen, any design time that you didn't expect because there was a furniture piece that was lost somewhere. These are all things that we want you to have access to so that you can become and stay profitable at all times with your projects. So let's say that this project budget is for $50,000, right? The budget setup is best established when you have a proposal set up with it, right? So this one, for example, we chose the 37,000 one, and let's say that we're also going to sync the proposal with the final selections or titled final selections. We don't want to associate any purchase orders right now, but we can if we wanted to. So I'm going to say sync items or sync documents. The necessary documents will live here. And now our budget estimate has been established here. There is about a variance, which tells us that we're in the green, meaning that we're making some actual money here. Um, in an ideal world, that is a good chunk of money to make, and you would be definitely profiting. However, you can check to see if there's like a budget item that is in the red, whether it's by item or by the entire budget. I actually have to make my screen a little tiny bit smaller just to see everything. So let's say that this gray grout is going to be $70 instead of the 51. Let's go ahead and add an expense. My team member had to go and pick it out because the client couldn't do it anymore, and the client had initially agreed to do so. Let's say that this is design time or just like ordering time. And then we pay our designer $50 an hour, and they purchased, let's say 5 hours. We're paying them for 5 hours of this work. We can add details here, the receipt, or any additional features here, files here, whether it's a photo or a document, what have you. We can add it here. Let's say that we're going to save. Now it's already automatically linked. We're going to save it to the budget. Now down below, we should see a negative cost here to the grout section, because what we had projected was only $50, and in fact it's costing us more. So it'll show up in red for you. Yes, you're still above you're still profiting from this project, but this specific item was actually in the negative. So we want to find a way to make up that money, or call it even, to kind of get the funds back, right? So that's how the budget works for the most part. Um, you will have all of the items that are listed in your proposals, in your purchase orders, or the items or the documents that you do sync. Whether it's one purchase order, two, three, or however many you have, all of these typically are, kind of collapsed like this. And if you want to edit each item, you can. The actual cost can be added here. The variance will be, automized. The total will be automized here for you to see what actually happened there. And then you can make the edits that you need, whether it's an expense or a time entry. And if you want to unlink it, let's say you don't want to charge them for that, or they already paid you on the side, or whatever it is that you want to unlink, you can unlink it by clicking on the unlink button there. Is there any questions from this? It is a premium feature for budget. You're right. But Lynn, I can reach out to you because I may just be a good connection for you. So let us know if you want us to reach out to you for the premium features, and we can definitely do that. Option budget. Okay. And the premium feature, what she means is like it's on custom. So it's the custom program that has all of these features. It says, do you have a budget set up on each phase or item? Or it created a negative because it's just so it created a negative dollar amount here because I went into this category, but this category only has one item, so I did add a negative cost to the item itself. It doesn't allow me to add a negative cost to the category, only to the item. And the way that the reason for that is because usually that category is affected by each individual item cost. And the pencil is removed from the category. So that darker gray is actually removed, so you can edit the category. How do you get premium features? What's the cost? Laura, I can actually reach out to you about that and share those details with you. And then we can review too, like what would work best for you and see if it's even something that would make sense for your business. Okay. Thank you. Someone asked a question about design time. Okay. Does the design time information auto-populate from the timesheets? And it looks like there are subcategories from design time. Is that true? Don't know if, okay. So yes, as you can see, the budget is established based on proposals and purchase orders. The way our pros go about tracking time and expenses is usually by creating a document for that to include those billable hours. So let's say that I want to bill for these 40 hours at about $100 an hour. I can go ahead and create an invoice. I can add it to an existing invoice. Let's say that I want to add it to this final selections. And then I'm going to click on, like attach here. Once I do that, you will see that the billable hours are there. Now, if we go to the budget, I can go ahead and look for that. Oh, here we go. So billable hours, I believe it's here. I forgot what it was called, but I know it was for $4,000. Let me see if I can find it. I think I have to resync. Okay, that's there. Let me circle back to you guys about that. It should be included because it is associated to an invoiced item that was originally in a proposal. So I'll get back to you on that. Elizabeth, are you going to be sending out like an email to everyone with the answers, or are we doing
Yes,
this individually? Okay.
yep. We can send them out. We'll take a poll at the end to see which questions we'll send as a group, and then we'll follow up with each
Okay.
person individually as well.
Events added individually. Will they sync auto to budget? Okay, I'll get back to you for sure on that. Okay. I want to go ahead and show you kind of like the filters that we have available. That way, you know how to filter things out when you're working on the budget. Again, we're going by category here, but if we wanted to look at this report by room, we can also do that. We just establish which one we want, click on generate report, and then it'll give it to us based on the report. See how these items didn't have a room associated to it. So it just says empty at the top. But every other item that has an association to the kitchen will be included. Breakfast nook will also be included based on room. Here you can export this budget as an Excel sheet. You can collapse these items so that you can all by bulk collapse them and then, customize them as you need to. But if you wanted to restore to default, you can do that as well. Sometimes, just you want to make a preference change there, and you can do that. You can turn these on, turn these off. Now from here, if you have any additional questions, please just drop them in the chat bot there. We're kind of ahead of time, so I do want to make sure that these features that are actually pretty robust, any questions that you have, I give you guys enough time to kind of drop them in the chat.
We had a question around reviewing the subcategories, like plumbing, fixtures, lighting. If you could just maybe review that again, if we've got a little bit of time.
Yeah, we do for sure. Let me go ahead and generate the report for categories. And they were saying plumbing, like lighting. Okay.
Lighting, fixtures.
Okay. So for example, here, like the chandelier, if you wanted to make an edit to this line item, you can always go ahead and make the changes here. So, and that's for an expense or a time entry. So let's say that this lighting feature now you need to do some electrical work, right? So, and you didn't see it, you didn't foresee that when you were doing the walkthrough. It wasn't something that you were aware of until now that you're going to do the install, or even as you're pulling out the old fixture, it's acquiring an expense. Let's say that portion of the wall kind of pulled off. Now you have to patch up and, recreate the plugs and all that. You can actually create an expense here. You can say that this is for, it's reported by Katie. We're going to say electrical work. And then the cost for this is going to be $400. It's a one-time service. You can add here, electrician had to patch, if I can spell, work on a wall, receipt, contract, attached below, right? Obviously, you would add more details because you guys are just really good at that. For sake of demoing, that's all I'm writing. But you can attach the pictures. You can attach the agreement that sub sent you. You can attach the before and after, all of that there. And so then you would save, and then that would be automatically added to once you click on save budget item, that would actually be added here to the lighting. And as you saw, right, we were projected high. So you're not losing any money in the red. You are losing some profit, but you're not like giving or putting out money for this feature, for this lighting item. Sometimes, our markup, allows us to have a ton of wiggle room. So it allows us for these little things like that, like, where you have to do some kind of repair work or an expense is created. Did that help? We will, Allie, we're going to circle back to you about the invoiced hours. The way I understand it right now is if you have like if you're proposing 40 hours on a kitchen design project and you include that in that purchase, in that proposal, and you link the proposal to the budget, those hours will be linked to the budget. I think where I'm a little bit unclear right now, I don't know if it's the way the question is being asked or how my brain is working right now. If what I'm unclear about, and that's why we have to circle back, is if the, let's say that the additional time isn't added to a proposal, it's not synced with the budget, those those hours are not going to be included. Just kind of by the test that I ran, it doesn't seem like it's going to be included in the budget. You would have to create a new proposal, a new proposal with additional times, sync the proposal to the budget, and then it'll show up. Um, so I'm going to ask to see if there's another way for us to sync the additional hours to the budget, avoiding an additional proposal. So I just have to circle back with you on that. Okay, so here from Angie, for instance, for a spec sheet or material list, whoa, it's moving too fast. For just lighting.
That's all right, I got it. You can.
Okay, good.
You can answer Alexa's question here.
Okay. Can you elaborate on how the elements interface with QuickBooks? It is the case that designers cancel their QBO subscriptions when they adopt. Actually, no. We do have special pricing for our designers that are on QuickBooks or need to resubscribe with QuickBooks. I can share that with you, actually. 1 second. I'll drop it in the QuickBooks. Here we go. So what is required by Houzz Pro is QuickBooks Plus. I hope you can click on that link. That is our partnership link. So if QuickBooks Plus is about $120 a month, with this specific link, you'll pay about $80 a month. What we have available is that you can integrate the QuickBooks program that you have with Houzz, and it'll be a one-way sync. So any of the documents that are being used to bill on Houzz Pro, once your QuickBooks synced, it'll go over to QuickBooks as a one-way sync. If there's any errors with syncing, what I love about the Houzz Pro program is that it actually tells you what's wrong, if it's synced or not, how to fix it, and the steps to do so. We do have a QuickBooks expert that can be added to your account if you needed that additional assistance. However, you do get one complimentary meeting with that QuickBooks expert the month that you integrate your QuickBooks account with Houzz. Were you guys able to click on that? Not yet in Canada. Actually, wait a second. I think so.
We can click on the link.
Okay, good. Canadian pros have QBO now. I asked this question at the beginning of the week. I believe that the big reason why QuickBooks is not allowed in Canada yet has to do with a specific tax that the Canadian government or something like that is very strict about. I think it's like the VAT tax or something like that. So our pros out there, oh yeah, you can benefit.
I was gonna say, let me confirm with the QuickBooks team. I have them here, so let me just confirm that.
Yeah, the pricing for QuickBooks to purchase with that link, I believe you can. But the integration, if you're referring for my Canadian Pro, if you're referring to like having access or use of QuickBooks with Houzz Pro, we're not there yet. But that's what Elizabeth's about to check as to why not yet, because it has been something that we're trying to push, but I believe it's like a VAT tax issue. Okay. So let's see. We can sync with QBO in Canada, but I'm asking if the price. Yes, they do. You can use that link. Okay. I have Essentials QBO, and my previous bookkeeper designer CFO was supposed to sync mine. Can someone help me with to change mine to the? Yeah, I think you just have to call QuickBooks or reach out to QuickBooks, and they can do that. They can do that update for you. FYI, I think Angie's question about categories likely was during the selections tracker section of the budget. Okay, I will look at that. Angie, can you let me know if it had to do with the selection tracker by adding plumbing or lighting? Oh, okay, yeah. So the integration is available in Canada. Great. And the pricing link is also usable in Canada. Oh, it's the GST tax. Okay, but that's been resolved. Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, so your documents, if they include markups, they should sync. This is what I would recommend, that you submit an inquiry through your portal. Let them know this exact issue, but let me copy this and send and try to do this for you as well, okay? Okay, perfect. And that was for Ridgely Broad. Okay. So, Angie, I don't know if the question had to do with the selection tracker or budget, but for the sake of answering the question, I'm going to go back, Elizabeth, I'm going to go back to the selection tracker. I think the question, from the way I'm understanding it, is can we add like lighting expenses here, or electrical expenses here?
Yeah, subcategories within this.
Yeah, so here, we don't have that option to add subcategories in the selection tracker. You would have to make those changes in the proposal, or create like a change order or something like that to have this pick up with the right pricing. Okay. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. Perfect. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to transition out of the budget. Now that we've reviewed the selection tracker, the budget.
Sorry, I got some clarification for
Yeah.
She says, I don't want to print only the lighting, not all the materials. Print out and add my sheets categories just for the plumbing or just for the lighting. Sorry, no worries.
I think they just want to print out like lighting items. I think what you would do is you would select
not the entire sheet.
Yeah, you would select the items that you want to export. This part right here really depends on what you prefer. Some of our pros prefer the FF&E sheet, the FF&E documents, and others prefer the tear sheets. With this, I'm going to download the tear sheets because it has been what I have seen my pros send most to subs. So let me actually go ahead and show you what that looks like. So here, for example, this is a tear sheet. It has dimensions. It has details about the product. It has color specifications. Like all of these specifications are added here. If you wanted to also include like, oh, this light needs this type of, bulb. Those details, I've seen it to be done more so through the subcontractor dashboard. Let's say that we want to do like a PDF of the schedule. All of the information is here. I don't see this to be as helpful for subs from my experience when working with designers. But I do want to show you just so that you can see what it looks like. But I haven't seen this to be that helpful for designers when sharing with subs, because it really just, it has the same information. It's just like nicer. It's more like the QR codes are what I've seen subs use, but it doesn't tell them like what kind of bulb that light needs. It doesn't tell them like what kind of, chain it needs to be linked to the wall, or it doesn't really include that. So what I would recommend for stuff like that is more so including it. So like when you're going to the subcontractor dashboard, here, let's see. Okay, so let's say that we want to go ahead and share this with, like, usually it's like a schedule or something, and we want to share it with a sub. Here, the schedule will allow for you to share it with a sub, and under the subcontractor dashboard, they'll have access to certain things. And then you'll be able to add those details, like in the schedule, under the description or under a task. If you want to add a task, you can add those details. And the way to add a task or create an item for the subcontractor to complete is when that item is ordered or it's when it's being delivered. And you want to make sure that the sub knows to install it. This is where you would add those details so that they're aware of what they need to bring along to successfully connect the lighting and the chandeliers and things like that. So that's what I've seen my pros do. Again, it's kind of like preference with how you want to do things. The norm or the flow that I've seen most of the time is an FF&E sheet or a tear sheet is how I've normally seen it. They get it printed out. They, like, our designers usually write on it, or not our designers, the subs usually write on it anyway. It's kind of like how they work. They're out in the field and they don't want to forget things. So they kind of write just based off of what they're looking at, the product that they're seeing. They write what they need on those documents. I would organize, let's see. I would personally, I would organize, but because there's so many moving parts, I can see why filters are so important, especially when not all products come in at the same time. When you have, multiple subcontractors either installing, delivering, all of those things. I've seen both is what I'm trying to say. I've seen designers use both. Okay. If we're ready, yeah, what Angie's saying, it's just kind of, it's really just what subs do. They work on the go, so they add those details to how they best understand. Okay, so the next step is to work with your team, right? Like, now you have a budget, you have purchase orders, you have proposals, you have subs, you have access to a schedule. Great that you have all of that. But if you have a team, even better, right? If you have junior designers, or if you have just a bigger team and you're looking to collaborate with them, you can collaborate from the project itself, or by using the team chat. Or you can use the global chat. So I'm going to show you the flow on how to add a team member. So let's say that now you're ready to bring people on, whether it's a subcontractor or a team member. Subcontractors and vendors do not acquire a cost. It isn't someone that you have to, add to your portal. But a team member would, it isn't someone that you have to add to your portal for a cost. With team members, you do. And talk to your representatives if you already have one, about some of the deals that we have going on, if that's something that's important for you. I'm going to go ahead and click where it says invite team member, because I want you to see what it looks like to invite a team member. And then I'll go into each of these or one of these team members that's already activated so that you can see what it looks like once they're on. So I'm going to click on invite a team member. It tells me to make things easy for you, right? The first thing that it's asking for is an email address. Once you have an email address input there, you decide whether it's an admin, a design team representative, or a financial consultant, whether it's an accountant or anything like that. If it's someone that you need on here for financial reasons, maybe they need to look at your finances within the portal. It's something that you have access to adding. For someone with the finance portion, you give them the ability to manage the financial documents, invoices, and things like that. This is usually the accountant. Someone that's on the design team, you can give them access specific to the visual tools and selection board and tracker, scheduling, things like that is what will help them. And then, your assistant is usually the admin. That's the person that can delegate responsibility to the other two if you wanted to, because you can enable them to have basically access to doing exactly what you have access to. The only difference between an admin and a super admin, which is usually the owner, is that the super admin can make changes to the subscription. The other roles cannot. Once you're done adding those details, you can just click on invite. Once you've invited your team member, they receive an email saying, hey, Louisa from Louisa's design company is wanting for you to collaborate with them as a team member or as a financial rep. It'll invite them that way, and it'll tell them what to do on how to add themselves or how to accept that invitation. As you can see, the admin, you can turn on all of the permissions that are enabled here, or you can limit the permissions that they have. Whether you don't want them to have access to the accounting integration or the administrative permissions, you can just deselect. Let's say that you only want them to have access to the projects. You don't want them to reach out to leads. You don't want them to work with the email marketing, Houzz profile, or website. You just strictly want them to work on the projects. You can give them access to all of that. Let's say that you don't want them to work on all of the projects. You only want them to work on 3 projects that you feel comfortable with them dealing with. And this notifications tab will tell you what the representative will receive of a notification once they've approved the invitation. These are all specific to team chats, right? Once you've added them, they'll have permissions for this. Now with any of the other teams, basically there's defaults. You can add more, add less, remove some of the ones that are already pre-selected if you wanted to. So they don't necessarily need access to everything, and you can decide on how much or how little you give them access to. When it says delete team member, that simply means that you're deleting that person from your subscription, but you still have a team member seat that you can, send an invite to someone else. If you want to disable the team member, basically that means that you're no longer going to need a seat. So you'll remove that seat from use on that end. When we go to the project itself, I'm trying to go to the main page. When you go to the project itself, here's the chat. So team chat lives within team chat on the global view. You can send messages here to anyone on your team, right? You can start the chat just like, Google Chat or any other, text message device option. You can send a message there. You can manage the chat, remove, add, delete the chat, etc. If you wanted to work on a specific project and talk on a specific project with your team, you're able to do that as well. You would go here and you can send messages to your team and to your client. I'm waiting for it to, there it is. Perfect. So on the chat side per project, you can send this to your team. Your team will receive a message based on this specific project. So you won't need to tell them like, hey, Katie, please look at the Nelson Residence project under this file. You simply can just say this file needs to be updated with, procurement details. They will know that this is what you're referring to, which is the Nelson Residence project. But if you're looking at the global view of the chat, this is where you want to add a little bit more detail to what specifically you're speaking about if it refers to a project.
Cool. We just have a couple more last minute questions here. Can we just quickly go back? We've got one from Annie. Is there a way to start the budget pre-proposals? Assign a number before any selections have been made.
No. For the budget, it is required that you have a proposal or a purchase order to sync.
And then I don't know if you wanted to finish up anything around budget or procurement. Are there any relevant questions around there? If we have some time towards the end of the session, Teresa would like to go over a little bit of the client dashboard if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, we'll go over that. That for sure. We have time. We have time for that. Yeah, we have time for that. So I'll go over that. Regarding the team invites, does anyone have questions about that? That one's pretty easy to go over. We also have articles that can help you on how to add that. It's really just you sending an invite, kind of like a Dropbox. You send them the invite to join, and once they approve, they can basically have access to what you've permitted them to have access to. Just don't forget to set up the permissions. Okay. Seems like we're good with that. Now, the next thing that we're going to do, and which is the final thing on our agenda, is looking at the Google Drive integration. Under company, just kidding, under settings, we have the integrations kind of icon there. So you would go to settings and then you would go to Google Drive. You can integrate your Google Drive here. And once you integrate it here, and if there's an item that you need from your Google Drive, a file or an image, you can actually pull them out under the specific like file settings per project. So let's say I want to connect my Google, Drive. I just log in. Once I'm logged in, this will give me the enablement to see all of those items in my Google Drive for my business. Then where you can find these items or the option to include items to your project from your Google Drive is usually under files right here. So you can go from local drive or from Google Drive. And again, once you're already logged in, it'll allow you to just see them there. Under proposals, let me just check because, I don't think that we have a file option there to include. Yeah. So here we go. Yep. So under files in the proposal, when you click on the file section, you can also upload from your Google Drive there as well. So anywhere where you can upload a file, you should be able to upload from your Google Drive. Was that easy? Yeah, it is pretty cool. Okay, so now I'm going to go over the client dashboard. And just because we have a little bit of time, I'm also going to go ahead and share with you kind of like the view the client see. Oh, I'm in the wrong section. It's similar to like everything else that we have here. When you have a client, when you're working on a project, all you have to do is give them access. You determine how much or how little access they have. The client will receive an invitation to the client dashboard. And let's say that you no longer want that client to have access to that client dashboard. You can also rescind the enablement that you've given them. So let's say that you're working on Andrea's apartment and you want to share this dashboard with the client because they're very specific about what they want to see. And you just want to give them that option so that, if they're having questions in the middle of the night, they can look at their client dashboard instead of calling you. You just click where it says client dashboard. And again, here, customize allows you to determine how much or how little they see. Let's say you want to give them the option to see the messages, contracts, the payments that they've already made. Let's say that you want them to see the schedule, but you don't really want them to see anything else because it's going to overwhelm them. So all of those items will be removed from the left side. This will tell you exactly what they have access to seeing. You can actually choose a cover photo. So if there's something nice or pretty that you want them to see, you can actually do that. If you want company files to be uploaded here, you can do that too. If it's your logo, anything like that, you can add there too. You can reposition this if you wanted to. You can remove this photo from here as well. Let's say you want to see what the client gets to see. You just have to click on the preview page. Let's see what it looks like for them. On their desktop, it will look like this. Not blank. It will have everything we added, but I don't know why it's bugging out. Okay, so on their desktop, it'll look like this, and on their mobile device, it will look just as easy as it looks on your page. There's a menu there for them to click on. I'm going to actually go back to show you another little portion there, which is to add a widget. You can add a widget, like a text block, right up there, give them details, introduce them to what this is, let them know that this is a client dashboard, that you want to be able to give them, ease of use, or you want to open up communication between them and you, kind of just give them some sense of comfort. You can do that. If you want to add an intro video or a video that you want to add from the items that you're working on, you can do that as well. And then the weather. If it's something that you want to add based on location, if you're working on something and you want them to know, like, hey, today it was muddy, we weren't able to do much because we're trying to preserve the flooring, you can add those details as well. I've seen pros do something very simple like that, or just letting them know, like, hey, it was very sunny today, we're going to get a lot done. Just giving homeowners that sense of trust. If there's any questions that you have about the sharing, you can always look at the help button that's right here under Help Center, and then it'll take you to the client dashboard view, which is exactly what we just did. Let's go to the section where you can share and unshare. Let me go back over here. Let's say that these photos, we don't have any examples right now, but if you had a photo here and you wanted to unshare, you would be able to unshare the items from the client dashboard if you wanted to. So here under Manage Permissions, you can go to Client Dashboard and say Publish. It'll be visible on the client dashboard. If it was already visible and you wanted to rescind that permission, you can say, unshare. And so now it's visible there for them. If you wanted to share now at this point, you can choose the client that you want to share it with, and then it'll be sent to them. So client was added successfully. If you want to remove sharing, the way I've done it is I just leave it blank and then save and continue, but changes have been made. So now we have to kind of rework it. The way I go about it is I just send it to myself. I say save and continue, and then the client basically gets those permissions taken away. That's the way I've gone about it. So the client doesn't have visibility. Any questions from here? This is more of a new feature. Yeah. Angie, I'll check to see what program you're on, okay? That way I can get back to you. Okay. We're pretty much done. Is there any other questions? We have time now to answer them.
Budgets or anything else. I also added a couple of polls into the chat to help us improve this experience over time, make sure it's working for you all, see if there's any features we haven't covered in the series that you'd be interested in. So if you guys want to pop into the poll section of the chat and answer any of those, that would be phenomenal. I did confirm with the team that yesterday's recording is being sent, so it should be either in your inbox or arrive within the next couple of hours. So let us know if that doesn't happen. I'm going to put my email here in the chat too, just so you all have it in case you have any questions moving forward. Again, also on the product team, we're planning for 2026. So feature requests, things like that. I'm going to throw it into the chat. And you can keep it for your reference if you ever want to reach out.
If you guys have any, I just saw the poll. I see that the score for the 3D floor plan is kind of low. So I'm going to be transparent. Whenever I started at Houzz, this was all very new to me because I worked for a different tech company. So I had no idea on how important, these features were for designers. I actually learned a lot from our help center. Our help center is very detailed. And what I love is that most of these documents include video. So yes, it's written down in like step-by-step processes, but also there's videos included. And you can filter based on video or steps. Any feature that you have questions about, you can search under the help center. If you have a representative, I would encourage you to reach out to the representative that you're connected to, and they're more than happy to train you on these tools. If you don't have a dedicated representative, our product support team, like this is what they do all day, every day. So feel free to reach out to them. They typically have about 10-15 minutes to have a call with you on the go, and they'll route you to the best way to find the information. You can chat them. There's live representatives. Like these right here are live representatives on the chat right now. There will always be 3, and we're open from 6 a.m. Pacific to 6 p.m. Pacific, which is usually like 9 or so Eastern. So these are representatives on actually experts. So they're more knowledgeable about the software and like workarounds and things like that. They are currently on here now. So if you send a message, they'll let you know how to go about certain things. And if there's someone specific that you can talk to for a little bit longer, you can ask them, and then they'll let you know what are the best steps to move forward. So I always encourage my pros to go there if there's like a time crunch question.
And I don't know if we have it on the demo account, but can you just show where the rep, if they have an assigned rep, how to contact?
For sure. So you would just go to the Houzz icon here. This account under support would have like a picture of your representative, their name, their email address, their phone number, and also their booking link for you to schedule a call with them.
And I think you can also hover over the circle with the question mark. I'm not sure if it'll appear on here because we might not have an assigned person, but if you go to the question mark, there will usually be a person's face who is your customer success person, and their contact information will also be available there for you.
Absolutely. I will go ahead and if it's okay, Elizabeth, I can also drop my calendar link there. If they have a question, I'm more than happy to work with them.
Beautiful.
So I'll drop it in the chat here, everyone. My calendar's pretty open right now, but I don't know how it'll be after everyone books. But I'm more than happy to have a one-on-one with you guys, share a little bit of time to go over these things together as well.
Perfect. And you have my email in there. I couldn't put the @ symbol because it just made me tag everybody in the chat. So it's elizabeth.bozzi @houzz.com for any questions or follow-up. Again, we'll be sending out the recording of this afterwards. Oh, it looks like we have some questions coming up in the Q&A. Oh, you just put your link in the Q&A. Okay, great. Any last minute questions, we're happy to answer. We've got about 10 minutes. Doesn't particularly have to be about budget or procurement, but any burning questions on anybody's mind? All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I don't know if I did a good job or if I did a bad job.
No, you did a phenomenal job, Louisa. I wanted more questions. Always do. All right. With that, I think we'll close out the webinar. Again, just super appreciate everybody being here. We hope that you found it valuable. We hope that you found it enjoyable. And we hope to see you in the next round.